My name is Jonnita Stanton, and we have Reginald Perryman, Kashka Williams. We are TSARE. There's something about real estate, and we have still with us
Cleare.
Cleare.
Clear the clothes. Clear the clothes.
My birthday twin. Okay.
Yes, same birthday. Yep.
So, we're gonna jump back into it. Are we going like?
I'm ready.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about real estate in general. We're gonna talk about a lot right now.
No, so what I was thinking about just now, I'm like, dang, this is like cool because now we're about to get into like more of the what we have been is like more on the entrepreneurship side of things.
All right.
So, not so technical or whatever.
All right.
We just kicking it.
Yeah.
Right. We just kicking it this time.
We kicking it real estate.
Right. So, what I had to ask John something when they wasn't in the room, and I was asking him because he went and got his broker's license and he went over to EXP,
right?
And I asked him, was he focusing on residential real estate sales,
right?
You know what I mean? And you had the answer.
Yeah. So as far as like the retail. So, yeah, I do focus on retail as well. It's just not at the forefront.
Right.
Wholesale will always be number one. So I would say right now, wholesale is about 98 to 2% retail. So 98% wholesale, 2% retail. But of that 98%, I would say about 70% is commercial.
But you do have agents on your team, right?
I do. So I have a couple agents up under me under EXP, and then I have one agent up under me just for liability reasons. Like he's my business partner, Mike. So shout out to Mike Speaker. So I only have one agent under my brokerage, and I think I want to leave it like that,
right?
And just kind of divert everybody else to EXP. That way, I don't have to deal with the liability.
And they had a training and and everything like that. Right?
Oh yeah, so they have the training, the free training, and then on our team, we got the weekly training. We have Zoom calls. Now we got the office that we just opened like 3 months ago, in Southfield. So everybody comes there to collaborate. It's just just a beautiful dynamic. And Tawana and LaShawn, they're amazing.
Right.
And they will definitely hold you accountable. And they will call you out if you're...
They
will definitely call you out.
I can definitely see that.
So a lot of times when we talk to people about being an agent, it's almost like it's a down... Like the wholesalers be like, I don't want to be no agent. Y'all don't make no money, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you talk to agents, they all look at wholesalers sideways. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you can be both. It is $1 million agents out here that you know nothing about on social media, but they making that bread,
right? And
they're leveraging themselves by building teams. And really, the work is the same. You going after seller leads that's motivated, and you got buyers. It's the same thing, whether you're an agent or a wholesaler. It's just that when you're licensed like you get to take advantage. Maybe somebody don't want to sell the house for the number that makes sense for you to wholesale it. You can just list it and make some money anyway.
All bags matter.
Yeah. Or you,
That's my slogan.
That's
all bags matter.
That's a good one. We gotta get a t-shirt. All bags, as long as you get the bag.
I'm telling you.
Let me write that.
Right.
That I can have those ready next show.
Everybody take a note. All bags matter.
All bags matter.
Because I know some people,
ABM.
They be trying to make, like on the wholesale deals, I see somebody send me because I invest too, they'll send me a deal and it's like, I know they're trying to make 50 grand or 40 grand off of this deal, right? And then I come in with my offer because of the numbers that make sense for me. And they're like, nah. So I'm like, going to sell it to a sucker buyer, right?
Right.
And it's like, it's not going to work. But you could have still made 30 and closed for sure.
Right.
Greedy.
Right.
Greed kills deals.
Exactly.
Greed kills deals. So I pride myself on transparency. Like this 32 unit, I won't throw the numbers out there yet because we aren't officially closed, but the seller wanted X.
Right.
I told him I wanted to make Y and buyer is going to pay Z. And
Right.
he was okay with that.
Right.
As long as he gets his X, I can make my Y and then buyer pays the Z.
You have to be careful.
What?
Because what you just explained was not necessarily a wholesale deal.
No, but it's off market.
Okay.
Well,
and it's not listed.
But in order for it to be a wholesale deal, you have to be the buyer.
No.
No.
No, you don't.
I disagree with that.
No, you don't.
Well, we may talk about it off camera.
No, we're
No, we're
going
gonna
to
talk about it
now.
now. Ain't no off camera because it's people on Spotify.
Let's do it then.
listening.
That's fine.
Because the seller is paying the commission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the contract. So basically, this deal, I didn't even have to put on the contract. The seller and the buyer are directly in contract with each other. The seller assigns my commission, my marketing fee agreement,
Exactly.
not a
Right.
commission. Okay, so did I say commission?
You can call it commission.
Okay,
no?
no, you don't want to call it commission.
You don't
right? You
want
wanna
to call it
commission.
commission, but
So marketing fee agreement. Basically, I
Right.
marketed the property, at a higher price than what the seller wanted, and he agreed to me making my fee on top of what he wanted, and the contract. So basically, I have no liability in the deal.
Right.
I don't have it under contract. The seller and the buyer are direct.
Right.
And
So y'all
So
both
you're
right.
saying that
y'all
you
both
don't
right.
have it. It's not about being right. I'm just
good.
saying be careful.
Mm-hmm.
That's more so what I'm saying. Because the way that you were originally explaining it, it sounds like something that is illegal here in Michigan.
well, it definitely wasn't net listing, if that's what you're thinking.
Okay.
So it wasn't net listing because it was never listed. It was off market, and I didn't have it under contract. The buyer and the seller contract, the principals of the deal contracted directly.
you're
Okay.
negotiating. the
I'm
deal.
negotiating.
So here's the thing, because
But that's
when
a good catch. So we could definitely talk about net listing because what a lot of wholesalers would do, they'll put a property under contract for $40,000, put it on the MLS for $80,000. You
Right.
can't do that.
You can't
do
do
that,
that, right.
Because you can't make that 40 in between.
Right.
That's a net listing.
Absolutely.
That's
So-
a net
Thank
listing.
you.
Break that. Finish what you said.
break down net listing. Then I'm gonna come back to what I was saying about commission, assignment fees, and marketing fees.
Okay.
So break down net listing.
So basically, what I like to do, I like to differentiate between everything when it comes from wholesale to retail, all the way down to the paperwork. I don't use no GMAR contracts for wholesale deals. I don't use the National Association of Realtor contract. I don't use any, official realtor document on any of my wholesale deals.
Right.
Keep it all separate. And even says at the bottom of the fine print that you're not supposed to use it unless you're,
a realtor.
Exactly. So basically, with retail deals, definitely use like the residential and commercial, I
Contract
like
form.
GMAR,
Yeah.
so that's just who I'm with.
Right.
But with wholesale, it's a totally different contract. And basically with wholesale, we just use the purchase agreement, the assignment agreement, and maybe like a marketing fee agreement. Those are just the only three documents.
Right.
With retail, you got, the lead-based paint and all that. We don't have to do none of that.
So hold on, So I want to explain what GMAR is. So in Michigan, in the Metro Detroit area, there's three major boards. There's GMAR, there's NOC Board, and Detroit Association of Realtors, and there's other smaller boards. So your GMAR is one of the local board of realtors, and we use their forms for retail agreements. So go ahead.
Right.
And then those forms they're looked over by attorneys and things like that, right?
Yeah, they're just templates for us to use. We just fill in addresses and price. We just fill in the boxes pretty much.
Right. So, the good thing about GMAR is I believe they're the biggest board in Michigan, right?
I believe they're.
I think they are. I think they are the biggest.
But Detroit board is the original.
Okay.
I gotta look out for Detroit board.
Shout out to Detroit board.
Just like
Yeah.
Century 21, though, right?
Well,
you got it.
One of the founding boards for the National Association was the Detroit Board of Realtors.
I agree, but it's
Right.
like Century 21 was one of the, if you don't move forward, you're gonna get left
Pioneers.
behind.
That's true, but Detroit board is one of the original Don Dollars. It
Look,
wouldn't
Reg-
even be Realtors.
Look,
without
Reg, that's how you know
Detroit
you're
board.
an OG, right? Reg, OG.
Yeah.
So he gonna
Well, he's
speak up for them.
affiliated with Detroit as well because are you
I'm
on both?
I'm a
You're-
director.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Okay.
real?
So I didn't know the title.
Past president,
And see,
realtor of the year.
And
So
to get this
that's
man his
what it
flowers
is.
now.
Hold on,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
I'm pat my
I
own
mean,
back
they
in a
still
minute.
do that right now?
No.
But I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing. But finish what you were saying about the contracts.
Yeah, so the contracts is very important. So you don't want to converge the lines.
Right.
You don't want to cross merge. If it's wholesale, only use non, realtor, broker based contracts. Keep it totally separate. Because an attorney, if you get into some sticky situations, an attorney can pierce that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak on nothing else legal. So basically, I just keep everything separate. That's just the best way that I've always done it, and knock on wood, literally, I never been sued.
Right.
And that's just the way I keep it clean. So all my transactions are clean, transparent. Everybody knows what's going on. There are no hidden surprises at closing.
Right.
And we don't do net listings. Sorry that I explained it wrong.
No, you didn't necessarily explain it wrong, but that's one of the things that, so when I do talk to wholesalers, especially younger ones that's trying to figure it out, I worry that there could be some changes coming.
Right.
And, I would like to keep people out of legal trouble if possible. And so that's why I called it. Not necessarily that you explained it wrong, but just more so to say, like, be careful.
Yeah,
because there's definitely a thin line there.
Definitely.
Right.
Can y'all talk about that, though?
So let me go ahead.
Reg.
So I just want to explain the difference. So we're going to talk about the Michigan law requirements, and we touched on that earlier. But when I talk to a lot of wholesalers about getting your license just so that you can be in compliance with the state laws, they're like, oh, I want to make more than 6%. Well, there is absolutely no law in the world that says you can only charge 6%.
Absolutely.
Facts.
I might sell a $10,000 house and make $3,000. I have a minimum commission I charge. I can charge whatever I negotiate with a seller. So I can't do a net listing as a realtor, but I can do a wholesale transaction, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
y'all missing the net
we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So you have commissions, you have assignment fees, or you can name it marketing fees, whatever you name it. I say this all the time. At the end of the day, as a real estate professional, you're getting paid for bringing a buyer and a seller together. People overcomplicate this business more than it has to be. Some people don't want to go get the license because they don't want to go through the process, right? Or for whatever reason, whatever guru they follow told them, you don't have to be licensed. That's fine.
They lazy.
But in Michigan,
Just say it.
Absolutely.
if you're going to start doing numbers and you making some real money, somebody going to start watching you.
Absolutely.
And
Somebody gonna start hating.
Yeah.
And they gonna start telling you. You just said it, right?
And why would you let a $300 class and a license stop you from getting to the bag? Because all bags matter.
All
right?
bags matter.
So you walk into a seller, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. This is what I do on every deal. This is how I find most of my flips. Mr. or Mrs. Seller, this is the price of your home. This is the range it would sell for, fixed up, repaired, on the market, retail market. This is what it would sell for as is on the market. And this is the price I'm willing to offer you cash with no fees. Now, that cash as is, no fees cost may be enough. It may be enough skin in the game for me to wholesale it or just buy it and flip it, right? But either way, I'm getting paid.
For sure.
I'm getting the bag one of three ways.
Exactly.
So I might not make $30,000 on a wholesale or $20,000. I might make $60,000 on a flip, or I might only make $6,000 on a commission. Those three bags, just give me one of them.
Give me any of them.
Before I walk out the door.
Go back to so what you want, the definition of a net listing?
I know we need the layman's terms because people don't understand what a net listing
The
is.
layman's terms would be, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, I would like to list your house for, you know what, I can get you $20,000. And they're like, you know what, you can give me $20,000? $20,000 would be great. And then I go and list it for $40,000. And then I take the money in between. So they get 20, I get 20. That's a net listing. I mean, I market this. I list it, I put it on the exclusive right to sell agreement, and I put it on the MLS, and I market it that way. That's a net listing.
Right.
And what's wrong with that?
Because
You're
basically
taking
Lara
advantage.
is all about consumer protection.
Right.
So basically you're doing that consumer or your client a disservice, right? Because you know the real value, but you're duping them into believe that $20,000 is that value.
using
And
their ignorance
maybe, yeah, exactly. So because you may not be duping them, they may be just okay with receiving X number of dollars.
So then you can sign that agreement he's talking about, but
Right, but you can't do that in a listing format. So I
Right.
can't market it that
As
way
a
and
real
take my
estate agent.
commission.
Right.
Now, I could say, okay, I'll get you $20,000. I'm gonna charge you a flat fee commission of $20,000.
Now they sign that.
Yeah, you can. So here's the thing.
Right.
Being a member of the Realtor Association, there's a code of ethics.
Yeah.
So when you meet with a client, a seller, you have to give them. It's all about disclosure, right? Here's what the comps are here, even though they can go online and get an estimate, but still, here's what the comps are. Here's a suggested price range, and here's what it's likely to sell for in the condition that it's in or repaired, right? So what Jonnita is saying is you can't intentionally go in and tell somebody their home is worth less than what the true market value is.
Absolutely.
Right.
And list it for higher so that you can make the difference.
Absolutely.
But you can go in and say, I'm going to list it at the higher price, but I need a $10,000 commission
Yeah.
for marketing and everything I'm going to do to get this property sold.
So we were talking about, so we can, like Reggie said, we can charge whatever we want, and people, so it's so crazy. You said we don't only earn 6%. My problem over the last several years have been people have even reduced that 6% to 3%.
Nope.
This is the conversation, and it's crazy. So I have this conversation with Mr. Williams often, and it's like, no, who in the hell said I make 3%? When I signed the listing agreement, it says what you see people doing. What you can find often, you see at least 6%. But if you're charging flat fees, now you're probably going into that 10 to 15%. You know what I mean? So you can set your price at what you want. People may like you enough or want to deal with you enough or want your services.
Message, Reggie, what's your message?
What you negotiate.
Know your worth.
Know your worth.
You know your worth.
Because here's the thing. And this is another reason why I tell people to get involved in the business, like you mentioned earlier. When you were doing your wholesale deal, you knew where the market was going because you had access to the MLS, right? But here's the other thing. A lot of local wholesalers are not thinking about. There are a lot of iBuyers out there. So when you see stuff like Simple Sale or Home Light, even Zillow was buying homes for a while, they're controlling it from a more of an internet standpoint, and they're just putting ads out there, and they got way deeper pockets than we have doing our direct mail letters, right? And they're getting in front of these people saying, oh, we'll buy your house cash. If you don't like our price, here's 3 realtors we'll refer you to. And then they come to me and say, hey, here's a seller lead, but we want 25%. I wish I would have thought of it before.
Break it down. So you saying that Zillow getting all the bags?
Well, Zillow, there are several companies. So like you might, if you, I don't want to mention all the companies' names, but there are companies, and I've signed up with some of them. I get seller leads. They charge me a 25% referral fee. So the smart person that knows how to generate seller leads as a wholesaler can have a whole side business of referrals where you just send referrals to either realtors or if you're licensed, send that business to agents on your team and you're still eating. You're not even touching the business. All you're doing is generating leads. You're doing that anyway as a wholesaler.
Right.
That's a whole nother income. You can make several thousands of dollars a month just referring out these leads because these people still got to sell, whether it's on a wholesale deal or a realtor deal.
It's crazy. Like, I only mess with a certain number of wholesalers, like 3. John is one of them.
I'm one of them.
John, and it's because you're in a position to do your own research. I know if I call you and you send me a list, I may not like the things that's on your list, but you're going to send it to me and I have an opportunity to look at it, see if that's, because I'm an investor. As an investor, do I like anything on it or do I know any investors who want to indulge in your list? But what I get is a lot of people who are trying to get started and now they want to call me and ask me to run comps.
For free.
For free.
No, they want no money.
It's called Cash App.
Man, for real.
And so that's where I try to, and so that's where I kind of be like, well, are you licensed? Maybe you should get licensed. Maybe if you came over here, I wouldn't mind mentoring you.
Right.
You know, like that kind of thing.
It also saves you time on your end, so you don't always have to run comps for all these people.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
For free.
Yeah, for free.
You know, gaining more knowledge. And I think that in terms of home, like I don't have any issue. So like once I understood wholesaling, I don't have any issue with it. I definitely have. So I guess I kind of fall in the category of like the realtors who's gonna fall or frown upon an unlicensed wholesaler. Yeah, I probably fall. I fall there.
It's okay.
However,
we love you.
Hold on. You don't represent them no more. You're
You
broker.
don't.
You ain't even a realtor no more.
Yeah,
You're a
you
broker.
completely.
Look,
And I guess that's all I'm saying is it's like what Reggie has been saying over the last couple episodes. Like it just does not cost that much to be the boss in this particular situation. Now you do have to get higher education, still learn, pay attention, research, you know, like all those kinds of things. But in order to get, you know, where you need to be to kind of be in a room with the players, it just doesn't cost that much.
So here's it we're going to get to.
Yeah.
Lazy. Because, you know, my son is one of those people, right? I'm not
son
saying he's
not
lazy.
lazy.
I'm not saying he's lazy.
Okay.
I'm saying that he one of those, he listened to the people on, we're talking about people that's on social media, social media
Instagram
rich.
gonna get you.
Oh, wait, this is
Instagram,
how
right?
we-
Right. They
this
social
is
media
fake
rich.
gurus.
Fake gurus,
right?
Okay.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
So we're talking about those individuals. So, you know, the biggest issue I have is, you know, my son he come tell me about what somebody else on social media, YouTube. I don't care wherever they from, right?
Right.
Social media, YouTube, Craigslist. I don't care, right? And he tell me what they told him,
Right.
right? He said, well, they said this, and the other, bruh. You telling me about somebody you don't know anything about this individual,
Right.
but you know how you grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what your dad do,
Right.
right? And then but I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you what to do,
Right.
but you want to tell me what somebody on TV or social media told you, bruh. You don't get out of here?
It's because they're taking for granted coming up in that. I did it, and I came off the straight gutter. So if I could do it, your children and my children, like they definitely can do it. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like I remember being in school for like career days and people coming in like, oh, I make $60,000 a year, or $80,000 a year, and I'm like. Psh. I'm like 15, like that ain't no money because my mother is a real estate a realtor and my uncles are attorneys and engineers, you know, like all these kind of things. But I think that the problem is they're just they can't see beyond their nose, basically. Is the expression. You know what I mean? Sure. I don't know that's lazy. It's just that they can't can't see it. Like they're sitting in it. They understand that they're comfortable. And, you know, they're listening to these other people because they don't understand that they have someone who's probably doing way better than these other people.
No, they're lazy though. So he gonna because you lazy. Because if you walking around here thinking you're gonna make a whole lot of money doing nothing, you lazy.
Yeah.
Right?
So here's the thing, right? It's all about presentation. So I'm 40. How am I? 48 now?
Yep.
I'm almost forgetting, right? So
back
back in the day, Carlton Sheets used to come on. I still got the VHS tape. I'm gonna bring it next time, right? Yes. So that was wholesaling.
You know what? Hold on. The Henry Ford Museum might buy that from you, but go ahead.
It's in my basement. I got it.
She's real though.
Right. So all it was wholesaling, right? So, but the thing is that now with Instagram and everything is flashy, and then when you come into our community and it's like, oh, you can make this money quick. And then you have gurus that are making money by selling courses, and you have people that are actually doing it and they just teach it on the side because they want to see you succeed, right? And you could tell by the language who copied somebody. And I'm not against somebody teaching strategies that are good at it because you have coaches that never played the game. They were great coaches, right?
Mhm.
But the thing is, if you tell me you're rich because you were doing this, but you're really rich because you were selling courses, I don't like that.
You were selling me on a
Facts.
dream.
Right.
Right.
I want somebody, like, I'm to the point, my stock coach, he's a personal friend, you met him, but I see his numbers, right? Like, I can pull behind the veil and be like, what's your P&L statement? I'm always big on that.
He
right?
is. Reggie's
So,
the only one.
Look,
I
I
gotta
was
see
leaving out
the
the house today
numbers.
like, okay, I'm going to have to get Reggie so I can get my P&L together.
Right. Because you can't
What's a P&L?
Profit and loss.
profit and loss.
Okay.
You struck a nerve.
Oh,
Right.
come on in.
Come on
we
in.
got- but we
Come
got
on
somebody-
in.
but sit down. Go ahead, sit down. So,
Let's
all right. So here's the thing, right? You got people selling you, oh, I can help you make money on Bitcoin. I can help you make money on this, right? You got day traders. A lot of day traders lose a lot of money. They don't tell you that, right?
Facts.
You'll post your wins, but you're not posting your losses,
Facts.
right? Like you came when you mentioned early on the last episode, you've been through foreclosure. I lost a couple houses
too.
before, right?
Right.
But I make good money, but I can show you the profit and the loss. If you can't show me the losses, and if you don't have a testimony, you can't mentor or coach
You can't
me.
mentor me because you
Can't
ain't
tell
been
me
through
nothing.
shit.
If you
Right?
don't have a testimony, I'm like that. Even when I go to church, any pastor I ever followed, and I ain't been to church in a long time.
Okay.
But all of my pastors that I really connected with, they had a testimony.
A real one that you can
Growing
relate
up,
to.
I didn't respect my mother as much until she recovered and she had a testimony
For sure.
of recovery.
For sure.
Right? So you have to have went through something. You have to pull back all the BS and show me something real.
Wisdom. You gotta have
can't
real
just be
wisdom,
swag.
right? You
You
can't
gotta
just be
have some
talking.
stripes
You
on
can't
your
be
Yeah,
talking
it
shit.
can't be
stripes on
swag.
your
Hold on, I want to hear what you got to
For real,
say.
for real.
Come on up here.
For real.
So what happens is, I actually went to real estate school.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Hold on, that's the such thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Real estate school is not a thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I went to real estate school, and I'm sitting in class, and the instructor is talking about how much money they make all the time on real estate, and I'm like, I see y'all in here every day though. So how? You know what I'm
I know
saying?
what I paid for tuition.
And see me, I analyze everything.
Right.
So I'm looking. I said, wait a minute.
Exactly.
$100 a person.
See?
30 people in this class. I do 5 a day. Nah, you make more money doing this, and this is why. Because if you was making so much, why would you be here?
Right.
And so, by me being in music, I started to realize that it is actually more money in supplying the people that's trying than it is doing the actual thing.
Information.
Yes.
Right.
So, like even this, like now I teach podcasting, and I make easy bread off that, and now I'm developing a class for Michigan State on podcasting that gives that's residual income.
Oh yeah.
Hold on.
That's what
I
I'm
just want to
talking
know
about.
why we get free classes. I never.
Y'all been getting them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
that's why we
But
here.
You're right.
I've learned that it's two sides to that coin. So you right. If they
Right.
don't have the testimony, get the hell out my damn face. I'm not
Right.
trying to hear what you got to say.
Right.
So you ain't
But
been through
if you do have the testimony, you can make so much money in teaching.
Right.
Coaching.
So there's a problem there. There's a problem issue there though. So it's because it's not just about the testimony. You actually have to be living it too.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Well, yeah.
So a lot of people had the testimony. They lost their house, and they
Yep.
knew what happened when they lost their house. But
Right.
they not living that no more. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
well, I'm saying if you got a testimony and you're still doing good because you learn from it, you can teach that to somebody
For
else.
sure.
And so for all of those dry seasons, like I don't know about y'all, but I hustle.
We all get dry.
The hustle dry season is like right after Christmas to like March. Nobody's spending no money
Look here.
as far as on my end.
Right.
So I have to have something else that works.
Honestly, the dry season is why I love real estate. I can be dry during that season.
Well,
You know
the
that
thing is, you
What
can
that
make
mean?
so much money doing. See, here's the thing: like, people focus on, oh, I'm making this month. You can make so much money in a short period of time. It covers you for the whole year.
There it is.
Right.
That's what she mean.
And then,
Gotcha.
and like what you said, maybe that person is teaching in their downtime,
Mm.
or they're teaching
Every
out
day.
of passion, like you
Right.
said
Day
with
with
your, because you can have something on autopilot making you money,
Okay.
and I just like to teach students.
Mhm.
I like meeting new people. I'm bored. I'm retired from real estate.
Well, these people, I know for a fact they was hustling because
Yeah.
because what they'll do is they'll talk about some stuff. Let's say talking about, I don't know, eminent domain and
Right.
and all that stuff, and then they'll say, and what you could do is buy these cue cards from us because it's going to help you pass the test. And then they'll go on about the thing and
Yep.
say, what you can also buy from us is, so the whole time they teaching us every day,
Yeah.
they selling us stuff.
Well,
They
here,
sell it, and I still fail the damn
Okay,
test.
so look, when you hold on,
Where'd you go?
when you
Where'd
go
you
to
go?
a real estate school,
Institute of
and a lot of people go there,
Southfield and
and
Timber.
there's nothing wrong with
They
them.
good.
That's my
They're
man.
good.
though. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
So
You talking about
Amir.
my go
George.
Oh,
to
it's his
Younger
father,
Oh,
his son.
that's the son.
It's
Yeah.
the son.
I'm sorry.
my go to is Middleton.
Mhm.
However, Middleton is hard.
That's hard. 'Cause Lori
They
gonna
have
be on that
exactly.
ass.
So Lori got this, started this because her mother was doing it, and what I like about them is they stay abreast of everything that's laws. Like that's where you go to learn. What's gonna get me in trouble and what's gonna keep me out of trouble, and how do I, like you said, do
So
clean
to connect
deals.
what you both just said, I took my broker course at Michigan Institute of Real Estate.
Okay.
Before I took the state exam, I went to Lori and did the broker review because I knew
Yep.
she was gonna tell me everything I need to know.
Damn.
And I passed.
Hold on. She owe us some. We got to get Lori on here.
So-
Lori. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Bring her here.
I got the study guides. I paid for the stuff. I sat home for a month.
For
I-
real estate,
Yes, real estate.
salesperson?
Yeah,
Did you take the state test?
I did. I listen. If you could read that thing off to me, I can answer every question verbatim. When I
Right.
took the test, 10% of that was on the test.
Let
Yes.
me say this
I
about the
was-
salesperson
I got
test.
50 on the test.
I'm a.
Out of 29 years in business, I only know 6 people that passed it their first time.
I
The
was like,
broker test?
No, the salesperson. I passed my broker test the first time, so I was
Okay.
already in it. My salesperson test I took 3 times.
Did you
Okay.
have to
But
pass
the-
your salesperson to get the brokers?
Yeah, you have
So,
to be
yeah.
a salesperson several years
I did.
before.
Yeah.
So,
So
here's
I passed my salesperson
No,
the
no,
first
no.
time.
right.
But when you take the class for your brokers, you have to pass. So this is how Lori does it. You have to pass the salesperson's again for her final, and then the broker
that's
final.
that's the school part versus the
and
state
then
part.
the state.
Right.
You take yeah.
Right. So
Wow.
here's the thing. It's one thing to know the information, but some people are not good at taking tests. So
Right.
you might know the information, but the way the test is formatted and things of that nature,
Yeah.
like three of the people I know that passed it the first time, they were fresh out of college. So they were used to the process of studying and taking tests. One of the guys was just a nerd. He just knew, he was just good at taking tests. So sometimes it's not that you don't know it, it's you're sitting in front of this computer and you like, this test gonna change my life. Do I got the right answer? Is it A, B, or C? I think it's C, but I know it's A. Right? So that's what
Second
screw
guessing,
people
yeah.
up.
So
Yeah.
I'm one of the people that passed it on the first time.
So
I
now
went
that's
and took the damn test
Math brain.
in a week and took the. Back then, you could take the test the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what
see,
I'm saying?
couldn't do
I think the issue with most people is they make it bigger than it is.
Right.
It's a class. It's one class.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all it is. Like if
So
you,
like if you speak in college,
yeah, if you go to
Right.
school, if you go
Or high school,
college,
yeah.
I mean, if you go to high school, shit, you in high
Right.
school. This is one class.
Right.
One class. It's no different than social studies, government,
I beg to
Spanish. No, it's not
See,
though.
when I went to college, I got A's on everything.
Because you study, you must have.
No
tell me the
without
difference.
studying.
I
Because
Oh.
I'm not stupid.
Mhm.
I literally could answer every question verbatim. And when I was going through the test, I was like, that wasn't in the study guide. That wasn't
What
in
was-
there. That wasn't in
No,
there.
What
what?
was
So
going
no,
on in your
no.
life
Let
when
me
you
let
went
me
to
explain.
college?
Okay, go ahead.
No,
I went to college.
Yeah, how
The same-
old were you?
I was 40, 41.
When you went to college?
When you
Yeah.
went to
Yeah.
college?
Oh, and how old
I
was you when you
waited.
took the real estate test?
Like 43.
Oh, hell no. So I'm telling you what he did.
Alzheimer's.
Too much, never too much.
You made it bigger than it was.
How?
So when you went to college, you was like, shit. You know what I mean? What was your thought
My
process
thing
when you
is,
went to college?
If my process is however I can retain the information. So if I retain it this way and I got it and I can spit it out verbatim, I know I can pass the test. That's how I've always been. I went to cosmetology school. I could name everything that they said verbatim, and as long as I retained the information. So when I took this particular class, and I took it twice,
Right.
so I can make sure it sunk in. And when I got to the table to take the test, I answered every question that I saw, and I knew it right off rip. And that was only like half of it.
Right.
I'm like, I got a whole nother 50%. Guess what I got? 50.
Damn. Hold on. So
We gonna let him explain, but
outlier.
let me explain after Shaka explains.
Right.
My-
We gotta get John back in the mix.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait. So Shaka's gonna minimize it. I've always known that the real estate course in general, you're getting about 6 months at least, 180 days of information that you got to retain within 4 weeks or 1 week. And it's on laws, so that's the first subject. It's on math, that's the second subject. It's on, and then like it's another part of math. It's like that English comprehension side of math. So you got a few courses within the one course that, and so all of it's a crown. One, you have a shorter crown, which is the 7-day crown, or you have the 4-week crown. But it's all a crown because of the amount of information.
Right.
So yeah, if you ain't shutting everything down and focusing on that course, you're not gonna pass the test.
See, I totally don't agree.
Let me sum all this up real quick because I want to go back to the real estate gurus. 80% of what I learned in real estate school on the salesperson side, we don't even use.
Period.
Because, like, for example, you break down townships and plats and land division. Now,
Eminent domain.
In most of your residential metro areas and residential sales, you're not even using that. That does apply in certain areas of the state, but then those people are not using some of the other stuff that they learned, right? So what I'm saying is, like Shaka said, some people are just overthinking it. But when you get out here in the real world and you're wholesaling or you're working as an agent, it's about building a business and making a profit and loss statement and making some money and getting to the bag. You're learning sales, you're learning strategy, you're learning marketing and things of that nature. The license course is to teach you
How to pass the
just
test.
the laws pretty much.
Yeah.
The license
Absolutely.
course is for the state of Michigan
And to
to
stay
make
out of
money
trouble.
off of you.
Right.
And all you have to do is not be scared of the test.
I wasn't scared.
No, you are. That's the
How
only
many
reason.
times you
I'm
take
telling
the
you
test?
right now. That's the only
Well, you
reason
have to
you're not
take it at
passing
least
the
3
test.
times before you can be part of this conversation.
No.
So-
Right. You're not an OG.
3 times? That's a waste of time.
No, it's not a waste of time. So first of all, I passed my test probably on the third try.
Oh, that's why she said that.
A lot of
mine.
people do take it multiple
what?
times,
Right.
but you
You did?
can't.
My salesperson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be scared to go. Like fuck it. I failed it, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna take it because I'm getting this license. Like no matter what. Like
Right.
Shaka has one of them brains. He's got a math brain.
Yeah.
I have a reading
Accounting.
brain. Accounting
Right.
brain. He's smart. I'm smart too, but we're smart different. You know what I'm
Period.
saying?
Yeah.
So he can't always compare his scenario to like the mass because he always talking about outliers. He is an outlier.
But I'm going to disagree. So,
No,
because my
then
son,
he-
hold
That's
on.
his favorite
But he
one.
can't talk about the people in his house.
So hold on, listen. So if when people listen to me, they don't always listen, right? That's right. When you give advice, they always come to you. They be like, I want to know how to do something, right? And then you give them your advice, and they
Right.
never listen, right? So when people do listen, it's like, all right, just go into just take the course. I like Amir. She like Lori.
I like Lori.
He like Lori. He like both, right?
I like Lori and
The Amir's son.
Oh yeah.
He don't even know his name.
No, but it's still, he know who it is. Right? That's my man's in them, right? Yeah. I went to Lori too. Lori is I did go to Lori.
Referring people to Michigan Institute, so don't
No. So
they both cool.
I mean, I definitely retained the information. Like,
no, but you making it so big.
It's hard and good, but see, this is my thing. After I failed it, I asked myself, do I really want to do this?
See, you made it too big.
See,
that's like, I really don't want to be an agent.
Bruh, it's a class. Right. This is a class. Get a C in get a C in the class, and you pass.
Yep.
Agreed.
Well, so I tell my kids this. If you go to this is a real thing. And real right. He got he got to eat.
50%
He got to eat. But listen, but I tell my kids this. You go to school, right? You go to school.
Right.
If you just go to school every day, you should not get less than a C.
Agreed.
If you just go to school every day. All right? Don't do nothing else.
Depending on the person's brain.
Nah. If you just go to school, you waste your time going to school every day. How can if you
not
in
paying
school,
attention, going to sleep in school?
Well then, that's your problem. That's not the issue. The issue is your issue ain't you not understanding the information.
Right.
The issue is you applying yourself.
True.
But he said he applying himself.
Okay.
Because he said that he understands all the information. He said he can answer everything on Lori's or anybody else's exam.
Yeah, if we talk about it,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So he applying himself. So
So
hold on. So when you go, you gonna get a C just from going.
Yeah.
All right? And then that's a 70, which you need to pass the real estate exam. Oh, shit.
6.
So just going, you're going to pass it. And then if you go do anything above that, like you study after you leave the class, now you're going to get a B.
I studied a lot.
See, that's your problem. That's the issue. So you're missing the issue. Listen. You're missing the issue. Because he's studying a lot because he's making it bigger than it is.
Right.
So I'm saying, if I can't think of a subject.
Study?
No. Just overthinking.
No. So
Correct.
I agree that some of what Shaka is saying.
No. Listen. Do not 70 if you go. 80 if you do anything more than going. Like you come home and you flash cards and shit, or the extra tests and all that.
Yeah, that's what I did.
80, right?
Should have got 80.
All right? Nah, because you at 90. Because it sounded like you were at 90 because you went hard.
Yeah, I did.
You know what I'm saying? You were at 90 to 90. Yeah. A range. But
That's where I get to raising my hand.
hold on, let me just say this one last thing.
Right.
So if you stop worrying so much about it.
I wasn't worried though. I went that much confident, like
No, look. So
I would like to-
Shaka
I
ain't
wanna
took
jump
the
in
real
your
estate
body
test in
and shit.
15 years.
Now,
But the problem with
It's
the
the
real
same though,
estate,
right?
it is. But so what Dean Bean said is true. It like what you're studying is not necessary. So you got some stuff, they pick and choose some wetland stuff, a lot of laws here, but a lot of it is Mr. Smith met with Mr. Smith, and then they got together and did. So you got all these extra words and scenarios. So you have to have certain level of comprehension. So it's not gonna come from studying them flashcards. It's not gonna come from studying the material.
Right.
It's gonna come from you sitting there and like itemizing line by line. Like, okay,
for one question.
For one question.
Get out of here. For one question.
So y'all just brought up something too. If I'm already wholesaling, making 150,000 a year, and I go take this damn test, and it be like Mr. Smith brought 2 houses at 20,000 or 200,000. They got 6% commission. You gonna be like, what the hell?
I got 2 responses to that.
Right.
So first response is you said that's why you do that when you young. So you ain't gotta worry about that.
Right.
My second response is that 150 gonna go to $500,000.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Because here's the thing too. Like when we talk about wholesaling and being an agent, another thing is like agents, we got to do Con-Ed. We keep abreast on current laws and things of that nature.
the laws are
I do that shit in
important
15
during the
minutes.
education.
I see,
The updates on the laws, I feel like, is the most important
right.
in all of it.
And not only that, access to other information. And then even, like I know a lot of wholesalers, they don't need it, but they don't need all the documents. But I had a wholesaler selling the property, and the wholesaler signed all the sellers and lead-based paint disclosures. And I'm like, dog, what the hell are you doing? Like he didn't fill it out saying, never occupied or anything that would exclude him. He filled out line
Everything.
item, plumbing, copper, electrical works. And I'm like, dog, what is he? I'm like, do you own the property? He's like, no, I'm wholesaling it. And I'm like, but he doesn't know any better. So you're taking on all this liability just because you're trying to get this deal to go through, not knowing what you're getting yourself into because you're selling it to a regular buyer. He didn't know. He thought it was a cash buyer, that it was an investor. No, this was an owner-occupant that was paying cash for the property. I just brought the buyer to the table. Right. It's a bag is a bag, right? My buyer wanted a house. But I'm like, dude, you filled out the seller's disclosure statement. And it wasn't after two. So when we got the disclosure, the buyer signed everything. We going through the deal. When we got title work back, that's when I realized it was a wholesaler, because I never seen an assignment contract or anything. They signed our purchase agreement that we presented. And I'm like, this is all screwed up. I just hope nothing happens, right?
Was the information on the disclosure correct?
It can't be, because he
Well,
ain't
he never lived
He
there.
don't know.
The only thing he could
That's
do
why you
was
put
fill out
NA.
everything unknown. Well, it's not
The actual seller.
You never supposed to put any kind of liability on it.
I mean, if you know, you're supposed to tell the
yeah,
truth.
that's the question.
But if you if you're an investor, you don't know.
So everything, so he could fill it out and everything would be unknown, but he doesn't own the property at all, which is what Reggie would.
Right.
So
Yeah,
as a
like you
wholesaler-
don't know if the basement
You
ever
don't know
leaked.
it.
You don't know if
Exactly.
the roof ever leaked.
But you
Why
saying
you
it
filling
didn't.
out? Right.
So as a wholesaler, you have that seller fill out their disclosures, and then you have your marketing contracts, right? And we'll let John chime in there because I'm not a wholesaler.
John over there.
I know I'm over here eating chips. She would do that. Yeah, so basically marketing contracts is just to, basically just lock in your fee, right? So whether you have the property under contract or you're double closing or you're signing the deal, marketing contracts just secure the bag.
That's your money.
And so
Right.
you tell.
Right.
So
Exclusive rights to sell, right.
when
That's the
Reggie
bag.
calls John as the wholesaler saying, "I need disclosures," John needs to get those disclosures from the seller,
Right.
Correct.
not John.
You do not
Exactly.
fill out the disclosures yourself.
Ever.
You're not the seller.
So what did you end up doing when you got the selling from the wholesale?
I mean, we was already in the deal at that point. We didn't find out till we got title work back.
Oh wow.
So at closing, we had the actual seller sign the seller's disclosure statement,
Okay.
which was
But that's a problem too. Because
yeah.
with seller's disclosure, shit, you can back out of the deal.
We could have, but
Right.
it was
I
one of those
understand.
situations. My buyer was getting such a good deal, and they already did their inspection. It wasn't much that seller could have
I guess
disclosed.
what
that was gonna
what
make
I'm
them
saying
stop.
is like, so what would this be
But-
like message
yeah,
in a transaction? If you don't fill out seller's disclosures, that buyer has the opportunity. So whether the buyer takes the opportunity or not, your contracts are pretty much null and void. to
well,
an
here in
extent.
Michigan,
In Michigan.
not every state have.
In
Most
Michigan.
states have that requirement
Right.
So here's the
So-
message. The message is get you a fucking realtor,
or
a
attorney.
licensed realtor or attorney.
Right.
But them attorneys don't be knowing shit either. I mean, you
you
can get your
real
have
licensed
you,
estate
have you
attorney.
had that
Yeah.
though? Like where
What?
you're like, I'm wholesaling a deal, and this seller is dragging his feet on my disclosures, and this seller doesn't understand that we don't even have our contracts until he give me these documents.
Well,
Or like,
go
have
ahead.
you ever dealt with that?
Keep in mind,
Really,
he's
right.
you're
'cause-
doing a lot more commercial. The seller's disclosure and layer base aren't
Way
required.
different.
Right.
And
Right.
and it's really on 1 to like 2 units or 4 units.
And but
where you
people don't
start
stress
needing
about
certain
it. So like for
disclosures.
me, I start stressing about it. Like as I'm looking at things, and my sellers are like dragging their feet with documents and things like that because people just don't know like the legal ramifications around it here in Michigan. Like unless you have those disclosures signed, the seller's disclosure in particular, like yeah, that buyer has free range to kind of be like, had a bad day today.
Right. Because our contracts are subject to review of the seller's disclosure. Even if it just everything's checked unknown, this owner is disclosing their knowledge of the property to the buyer. So like even on properties where I brought on a Friday, I'm selling it on a Monday, I can go in there and say, how long have you owned the property? Oh, since 2 days ago. How long have you lived in the property? Never. What do you know about the property? Unknown.
Absolutely.
I know it's brick.
I know exactly.
And you know what I'm saying?
But
Legally,
people don't
you can
understand
say
that.
that.
Like I've had to send back so many disclosures. Like you cannot make a line and then write exempt unless you're like a court executor
or it's probate.
or it's exactly. If you own the property,
Exempt on it?
And them situations they just named.
So like I buy a house, I'm an investor, I'm flipping, and so I'm gonna take the disclosure and I'm gonna put a line and put exempt as if that.
They do it all the time.
Really?
Yeah, and so I have to send these disclosures back and say, email Michigan state law. You have to fill out these disclosures to the best of your knowledge. You are not exempt unless.
It's a probate deal. So if you're an executive of an estate, you're controlling the estate. So you never actually occupied the property or owned the property or had ownership interests. There's nothing you can disclose about that property.
You don't know shit.
Right.
Or if you're an entity that foreclosed on a property and now you're selling it, it's nothing you can disclose about that property because you have no real physical knowledge of the
But
property.
if you know
you're
shit, you
exempt.
gotta disclose.
Yeah, so like even
Right.
though I'm an investor, I've been in the property, I've seen it a few times. I can. So the seller's disclosure, it breaks down how long have you lived in it, if you've never lived in it, and then you have options to choose: yes, no, not available, or unknown. So I may say, I don't know, because maybe I really don't know.
Right.
So if I own a property for 6 months and I've never lived in it and we're not running flushing toilets and taking baths, I don't know what the plumbing is like.
Right.
We do that all the time.
Right.
On flips.
How about people that are landlords that own properties and they out of state? Because you have a lot of people that brought properties they never seen and they just turn them over to their property manager and then they list it and their seller's disclosure says unknown. Well, you just had your property manager replace the toilet, fix the basement leak. You know something about this property.
Right.
So they'll fill them out unknown. Like, no, you know something because you was paying people to fix
I
it.
get questions all the time from sellers. So people are really scared about disclosing, like, oh, my sewer backed up or I had like a flood. And I tell them all the time, like, look, if you fix the problem and then you disclose the problem, you have nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
Because in a lot of scenarios, yeah, my basement may had a leak in the northwest corner, but I had Michigan basements come out and waterproof it. Now you can say, yeah, I had a leak. It happened in 2019. I had this company come out and make the repair. I have not had any issue since.
That answer your question? Remember you had a beef. You came in here with a beef. Because you disagreed.
He forgot.
Well, we were talking
No, he said
about
he had a
the
beef.
we were talking about the
It was about
the real estate schools and the hustle. So here's the thing too, right? You paid $200-300 for that class, right? And you didn't pass the test. There are people paying $25,000-$40,000 for real estate investment courses, and people are traveling around the country teaching these cookie cutter classes, and they don't know enough to tell you, hey, if you rehabbing this property over in Russell Woods or off of Linwood or off of Hoover, you might want to secure that property or not put the furnace in until closing.
Not
right?
just more than that. We just
So-
had that with the lady from the Flip That House chick came to Detroit.
Yes.
And she bought a tax foreclosed or
Yeah.
some
No,
shit.
No,
right?
she's always here. That's the Nicole Reed.
I think
sorry.
the
I don't
one that
remember
brought
that.
the property from the land bank.
Yes.
So again, some people want to be sold, right? They're only, like you said with your son, they're gonna listen to the swag, the charisma, right? So unfortunately, the people that's really doing it, don't always have that swag and charisma. They're not on social media as much.
Or you don't want to be known. Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't want nobody knowing what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah,
But
that's
I want
the
to.
problem
I'm
with
just
this.
shit. I'm making money over here, and I don't need everybody knowing I'm making money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
there's people here that teach on a high level, and they teach specific to our area. But people in our area go out and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to this," and then they'll get suckered into paying $40,000.
Period.
You could have spent that $40,000 and got a house.
always, right?
So that's the difference.
So the lady we talking about, she would have hired a fucking realtor from Detroit, or a wholesaler from Detroit, or anybody from Detroit that knew what they was doing in this city.
right,
Then you wouldn't have ran into that issue,
right.
right? And how much would it cost you?
Or she could have just hired somebody to consult with her on the deal.
Period.
Like here's how you navigate Detroit, right? When you go into this hood, like we talked before, you need to check the temperature, right?
Period.
Talk to a few neighbors, let them know you here to beautify the city. I get so many investors call me from out of town. Oh, I want to be a part of Detroit's comeback.
Lies.
Like, nah, you lying.
You just want the
make
money.
some money.
You just want the money.
Right? Or they be like, well, I'd be like, well, what's your budget? Well, it depends. Depends on what? Right? And then they talk all these numbers, and then they like, oh, I want to, what you got for 20,000? And I'm like,
Not
no,
shit.
you're not.
Not a damn thing. Here's a question. For an investor that's looking for the longevity, not the quick dollar.
Not a flip.
Is it more lucrative to buy the land that's not occupied and create a living experience area, or buy a bando, fix it up and flip?
That's too hard to answer. That's a
depends.
loaded question.
Well, go back.
Yeah.
Like long term. So basically, you can create comps on the whole block.
Yeah,
Talking
long
You know,
term.
Long term, right? If you just looking for a quick bag, then you just buy the one that already has the comps in place.
Yeah.
If you're looking to create additional comps and
Yeah.
bigger bags, then you buy the block and then you go all in on the redevelopment.
But see, the reason why I asked is because I got word that there are properties in Brightmoor for $100 for a lot. So me being ignorant, I went to the land bank like, I want this whole cul-de-sac. I want it all.
Give it in.
Right, give it all, and I'm going to just build house. I want to build shipping container homes. You know, you can build a shipping container home for like $30,000, right? So I was going to put shipping container homes in all of them and try to build a living experience and just keep buying them. You don't have to go through all of the laws of the subdivision because the streets, the plumbing, the electrical is already there.
Right.
The lots are there. You don't have to create it all. So I'm like, man, that's a way in. And boom, 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 boom. So I get to the land bank and they're like, no. I'm like, why not? Well, you either got to be a development company, a nonprofit, or own a piece of property adjacent to the property that you wanted to buy. Well, I didn't qualify in any of them, so needless to say, I don't have my dang on.
But you wasn't being
cul-de-sac.
ignorant though. You was being smart. You was ahead of your time.
Yeah,
You
way
just,
ahead.
but you didn't go get all the information you needed to move forward.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying. So you pigeonhole yourself, right?
Right.
That's why you got to get. But if you would have went to a realtor or an investor in the city of Detroit that knew what the fuck they was doing, that knew
Then
the
we
information,
coulda got it.
You would have got it.
Exactly.
For them dollars too, for the dollar amount you're talking about. 'Cause
Yeah.
they would have been able to, went to Reg. He would have knew how to get around the blue tape.
So did
Or
you
red
guys
tape.
finish the Detroit rehab, or how did you end that? Because I feel like that's still the segue there.
The rehabber.
So you
No,
said if she would have, so she felt like
Oh,
she,
you went 2 steps back.
yeah, I'm going back because I'm sorry I had to leave for a minute, but she felt like she had all the information because she's done so many flips
She-
here.
she
So how did
obviously
y'all?
didn't.
Well,
How did y'all end
She
that?
didn't have all the information. She would have if she would have came. So people cheap. You get what you pay for. You don't want to. Everybody want to not pay people. Come on. Everybody don't want to pay people what they're worth,
Okay.
Right.
right? Whether it's an attorney that charges $400 an hour, whether it's a realtor that pays a certain amount of money, whether it's whoever it is that charges whatever they charge that because they're knowledgeable about the subject that you're not knowledgeable about.
Right.
some people just need to be willing to pay for a consultant or some
There it
type
is.
of mentor.
But that
Yeah.
that issue was a
Agreed.
ownership issue.
No, you talking about his?
No, the issue that you were talking about with that rehabber that was here.
Oh, no, her issue was didn't want to pay. So she would have paid the consultant that Reggie talking about. He would have said, "Oh, but this is our process here. I don't. Maybe she buys from. I don't know where she was from.
So what happened was with that particular property, she thought she was the owner, but
she didn't have enough information. But if you would have
So she
hired
ain't
a
got
I
her
had
person,
to
title work.
research that. Yeah.
first of all,
'cause
no, I remember if you go to first of all, if we from Michigan,
Right.
you can't go to Atlanta with our Michigan laws and our Michigan rules and our
Right.
Michigan thought process, talking about we going to Atlanta to invest.
Right.
If I go to Atlanta, Ohio, Pennsylvania, any other state,
Right.
I'm going to contact somebody that's well versed in that
In the
area.
area, right.
Right.
And I'm going to pay what it costs for me to hire you to make sure that I don't make those mistakes.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing. It's possible, and I don't know all the details of that situation. A lot of times people come here and they connect with somebody, but it's the wrong person.
Period.
absolutely.
Because
The
we
fake
do
gurus.
have a lot of people here that get out of towners and
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, fresh meat," right?
Yeah.
You just a food a plate to them. So they'll be like, "Oh, I can get this for you. I can get this for you," and you so caught up on how dirt cheap something is, you like, "Oh, this must be good," and you getting taken, right? So that's why I tell people, like, sometimes you got to do some background checks. You got to
Research. Goddamn, you can't
Research
come in
what?
here
Here's
like you can't like what? You
Here-
don't look up the individual. So I'm not gonna
Yeah.
look at Reggie Perryman to
Right.
see, or I'm not gonna ask who
Right.
know
Like the
Reggie Perryman.
crazy thing is, like when I was put in contact with him, the first thing I did was Google him.
right.
Like before I even met him face to face
You
or
ain't
had a
gonna find
conversation.
shit. You ain't
Right.
gonna find nothing, right?
Yo, you definitely found something.
So here
Right.
here is a question on rehab.
Right.
So you know how like with a car, if the damage is 70% of the value, then they total the car out.
Right.
Is there a certain percentage of the value of the house that that's damaged that you say, okay, no, it ain't worth it, or as long as it's under this percentage?
It
It's worth
depends on
doing.
the neighborhood too, and it depends on what you're trying to purpose the house for. So if you know down there, I'm trying to think. So you know across from Little Caesars Arena, like John R. and I want to say like Palmer.
Yeah, I know you're
It
talking
was
about.
like some old house. They used to all be fire damaged, right?
Yeah.
And those people brought them houses. They probably put like $500,000-600,000 into them.
Right.
Right. These houses have been sitting burned for years, all through Comey Young, all through Kwame, and somebody went in there and bought them and renovated them. These properties should have been demolished years ago, right?
Right.
But the market at some point said, "Hey, this is $1.5 million property. It's now worth it to put 500 into
Gotcha.
it." But all prior to that, it wasn't worth it
It wasn't
because
worth
it wasn't
$10.
worth 500,000.
Right.
Right. Now somebody could have put 500,000 into it back then and brought it for a lot cheaper and said, "I'm just going to use it for my personal use, not worry about the value." But
Right.
now they're reaping the benefits of it. So it has a lot
It
to do with the
depends.
location and the time. Time kind of heals all wounds.
So
for
what
the
you're
state.
saying is it just depends on what the potential value is gonna be.
Right, or what it is now. So like if you tell me I got a fire damaged property in Palmer Woods and you gotta redo the whole roof, all the wood and everything, and I may have some other issues and it's gonna cost me $200,000, right? I might still take that project on. But if you tell me I got a property at, I don't know, 6 Mile in Greenfield, that's the same. I'm probably not going to put that type of money
Right.
into it. So it has a lot to do. Again, real estate is location.
And
so
knowledge,
I mean-
though. It all comes down to your knowledge.
But like
who you know.
so, I think those are two different areas.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It is.
Like-
That's what he's saying.
From the beginning, it's always like, so if you understand location, my mom used to always say location, location, location.
Right.
Like that's a constant in real estate.
Right.
So I want to move on though because we
Alright.
have a few
I
horror
still want to
stories.
get to these fake gurus.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Okay, let's go back to it.
You know what?
No, where you going? You may have some questions about him.
I got some sushi.
Yeah, he
Oh,
got
okay,
some
okay.
sushi.
Oh, okay. Well, look, let's hit on fake gurus.
All right.
And then I want to talk horror stories. Because
I'm gonna leave. I'm saying
Shaka has a continuation from his one property. We talked about it on 2 episodes, the one with Attorney Jeter and Emma, and we're going to talk about it here today.
Oh, the one he just got too much money to pay attention
exactly,
to?
that
so
one.
So he one of them busy
that's
investors.
not it.
He got so much money running around here that he just don't know what's happening with his house.
So you know, in everything in life, you prioritize, right? You prioritize where you get your most of your money.
Gurus first, and then Shaka with too much money.
John said 98% wholesaling, 2% real estate sales. Why? Because he make more money off the wholesale than he doing the real estate sales. So that's his priority.
So you know what? I can't tag it for today, but I listened to an interview of a person that I'm not going to say. And they basically talked about real estate commissions not being enough in Detroit. And the whole time I'm looking at it and I'm like, what kind of real estate is she selling or he selling in Detroit?
It was a she.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was though. Right. So,
but I do understand that the wholesale deals could potentially be more prosperous if you're doing enough of them.
Right. So the example that I always give is on a typical, let's just say $30,000 property. Right. 3% commission is $900. Right. Or
Never
that same.
That deal.
Right. Or that same $30,000 property, you can put it on the contract with the seller at $30,000, so they still get the $30,000 and then flip it for $35,000. You make $5,000 versus $900 on the same deal.
Right.
Okay.
But so here's
That's
the
the
thing,
game
though,
right there.
But here's the
talking
thing.
about lazy people.
Glad,
You're talking about lazy people, right?
I'm glad he brought that up, right? I go to the seller. I'm at a listing appointment, and I say, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I can get you $30,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to list it for $36,000, $37,000 to cover all my fees. I got the same investor in my database that you might have in your database, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, that investor is still paying $36,000, $37,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that my commission is $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to charge an assignment fee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about how you disclose it and how you talk to your buyer and how you talk to your seller.
I'm gonna tell you,
whether you're an investor or not, because again, the commission don't have to be 6%. So what a lot of agents are scared of is presenting a $30,000 home and saying, hey, I know I can sell this for $35,000, but I have to make $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sellers would be
Absolutely.
like, no way.
No.
Why are you
But
getting that much?
you
But
have to
then a
also explain
wholesaler offer the same thing. I'm going to give you 30. And the perception, the mindset is when I talk to a wholesaler or the wholesalers presenting themselves as an investor, I don't have to deal with all the showings and preparing my home and all the other, negotiating. This wholesaler is just going to take it and bring me back my money.
Confidence.
Mm-hmm.
There's confidence in yourself.
But the agent can do the
value.
same thing.
But
knowing your worth.
Right.
You know your worth, then you're not gonna say that.
let's talk about it in that term. So that's a smaller amount of money when we're talking about wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
Right, just on a smaller level.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So let's keep it there. But from a wholesale standpoint, they're going to. So I guess my question is, I want to know from John as a wholesaler, how would he present that deal? Because for me, I would just explain. So my tactic would be for a seller, I probably would still be splitting that potentially, so co-oping. I charge a $5,000 flat fee, right?
Yep.
I put on the MLS.
Right.
My agency gets $2,500. Their agent gets $2,500. If I sell it myself, Mr. Seller, I'm going to get the entire $5,000. That's going to be my goal because I want that bigger commission. Most of the time, people are okay with that. And then if I also explain, we can put it on here for 3%, which is the $900 commission or whatever. But the odds of people showing and selling it, they're probably going to show everything else around you that has a flat fee in this price point, right? So the seller may choose by themselves, you know what? I think it's a better idea to go ahead and hire you at this price point. Maybe it's enough motivation for you to sell it, yourself, or for you to have a co-op agent come in and sell it with you, and so we can get this job done. But for you, how do you convince a person to, pay you the $5,000 as a wholesaler?
The buyer?
The seller.
The seller never pays me.
They don't pay the buyer.
The seller, no, the seller, I get it, but the seller always, so you can't, and I learned this from my uncle, who owns lots of property. He's an attorney. The seller always pays, because if they're not getting it in their profit.
Yeah, but the thing with
proceeds
the
come from the
wholesaler
buyer.
is saying, I'm presenting 30 to you. I'm presenting 35 to the buyer.
Exactly.
So I'm making 5.
The seller is still paying because they're not netting the 5.
Yeah, but you're getting deeper than what most of our listeners
No.
I see what
because-
you're saying.
Exactly.
Because if
The
I like that
seller's always
property,
paying it.
so if I do like that property up on a contract, off market wholesale with the seller for $30,000, then all the seller knows in their mind is the 30.
Exactly.
And I let them know up front that, hey, I'm not the buyer. See, that's the difference between me and other wholesalers. I let the seller know up front, I'm signing this purchase agreement with you, but I am not going to be the end buyer. I do have a large network of cash investors that I can, present this property to. They're going to pay my fee. No commission is due from your proceeds. They pay all closing costs. So everything is up front.
Right.
So the seller already knows, okay, John adds his fee on top. I get my $30K. Whatever John makes on top of the $30K is his.
And
Clean.
here's so that's the sweet science of wholesaling. But they're not teaching that. Now let me flip it to the agent side, right? Now, say $30,000 home, seller wants $30,000, and you're an agent, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I know you want to walk away with 30. There's a certain amount of money I have to make to cover my marketing and expenses and things of that nature, and possibly a co-op agent. So then I say, okay, I'm going to list it for 37, right? Here's my commission and the extra 2,000 or whatever. And we're just talking small numbers. Extra 2,000 are going to cover miscellaneous title company fees, right? Now, in addition to that, there's also not a law that say you can't charge the buyer too. So I can go to the buyer and say, hey, I have a buyer's fee that I charge. I'm bringing you this sweet deal. It is listed, but I'm going to bring it to you first because you're in my database. And I might have 5 buyers already looking for this type of property. Matter of fact, I found this property because I had 5 buyers that was looking for this type of property. And I say, for every property that I find you, I have to charge you $2,000. So now I charge the seller $5,000 and I charge the buyer $2,000.
That's an advanced game right there.
Or $20,000 or $15,000, right? So there's a buyer agency agreement for a reason. If you read the GMAR or DAR buyer agency agreement, there's a retainer fee in there. I can charge you up front because I'm about to go do all this legwork. Or I'm going to charge you a commission on the sale, but I'm also going to charge the seller because I'm getting them a buyer.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, if you don't know the business, you don't know the business, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why I talk about with wholesalers, like,
That's an advanced game right
oh,
there.
I want to make
Absolutely.
$10,000 on this deal or $20,000. I can take the same deal and make more than most wholesalers can because I can legally charge the buyer and I can legally charge the seller.
Absolutely.
But here's the difference. Now, I will say the disadvantage. Depending on what brokerage you with, if you charge it as a commission versus a wholesaler, you're going to have your commission split. But this is why we're with companies. I'm with KW, you were EXP. We all cap out. So once you cap, you're keeping 100% of that anyway, as if you were making the 5 or 10 or whatever as a wholesaler. So when you start understanding the real game, not what you learning on Instagram, you'll be like, damn, I'm going to get my license and I'm a wholesale
Absolutely.
and I'm going to invest.
So I gotta say something though, because I've been
Absolutely.
in the room with Reggie when a wholesaler obviously didn't know the business, came to Reg about a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I bring this up all the time because he don't get that hype that often.
He don't, but I got him hyped.
Right.
I got him hyped.
But this wholesaler, I'm not naming no names. They
Right.
probably gonna remember. I
What are
remember.
you talking about?
Right.
And he came to Reg and was like, "You killing me," you know what I mean? And Reg was like, "Nah." He tried to school him right there. I was like, "Reg, you supposed to charge for that."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I understand your big why, or
Yeah.
a part of your big why, right?
Right.
You want to teach because that's who you are, and you've been around for a long time. But shit, some people got to get spanked, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to pay for what you the
spank that
information. Yeah, right.
Because it was like a $20,000. I remember we was at Emma's party.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a $20,000 home, and he was like, "Man, you could have wholesaled that deal, and you could have made this." I'm like, "What makes you think I didn't make that?"
Exactly.
See, so you got licensed. Everybody in here is licensed, right? When I sell a house and I market it, so it's gonna, like, if you do a wholesale deal, you have to personally take that property and market it on Facebook or whatever, right? When I sell a house as a realtor or a licensed agent, it's gonna show up as Zillow. So
Everywhere.
when sellers look on Zillow and be like,
Cleare,
"Who's the
Redfin,
realtor?"
Bovado, everywhere.
They're gonna see that.
Google.
Then I'm sending out 150 postcards in the neighborhood. Look, I just sold this house in 5 days. Now I got more sellers. When they start calling me, I'm going back to the door. Same thing. This is what your house is worth fixed up. This is what it's worth as is. This is what I buy it for. I got 3 opportunities. Which bag do I want?
Exactly.
Raw bag you
Look,
gonna
don't
get me.
cut the conversation short for people that are viewing and watching because Reggie just schooled all the agents.
No, he giving
like,
some major
straight up,
game
yes.
right now.
Like,
Right.
absolutely.
So you just gotta know the business.
They don't know the business. What you say? If they don't know the business, they don't know
Know
the
the
business. Look, Red said if they don't know the business, they don't know the business. Emma said they don't know what they don't know.
Don't know,
Right.
right.
We're talking about
And John
people
said
that
all
specialists.
bags matter.
bags
And all
matter.
That's
bags
what we
matter.
talking about.
Talking about people that
It's all
understand the business,
comprehensive.
right?
So,
Man, I'm gonna rewind that part. I'm gonna listen to that
Yeah.
again. That was some dope.
like, I
Good
just
stuff,
think,
Red.
it's so much money to be made and legit money. It's all about people coming together and agreeing. It's not about taking advantage of a person.
Right.
So because like for me, my fiduciary responsibility supersedes everything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everything.
And the thing is, with wholesaling, there is no fiduciary responsibility.
Exactly.
I
Right.
think that's the difference.
Right.
That's the difference.
right?
That's different.
And and that's the reason why I bring it up because we're gonna have people that are viewing this and people that are gonna be looking at each one of us like, who do we trust? And when you have a license, hopefully you have been trained to have some sort of like empathy and respect for people that we get together and we do business together and we all make money. It's enough money on the table for sellers to be happy and the people that are working for those sellers to be successful. Like, cause we're not doing it for free. You're like, I don't wake up. I don't wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, oh yeah,
Right. Nobody.
That's all I
Like,
say. I don't run a nonprofit.
yeah. Like I'm not running a nonprofit.
Not currently. Now, we may,
I'm running
you
this
know, tax
business
benefits,
to
but later.
be successful. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all about successful business. So, for me, like I say on most of the podcasts, it's always bringing it back to having a legacy. I think we've all spoke about legacy in the last like 2 hours or so, and like there is one to be made in this industry. Like we are not cannot be related to, so how they be like entrepreneurs.
Right.
Right.
Like if you have a license and you are held to a higher standard by your state or that livelihood can be taken from you, we're more than just like entrepreneur. Like we are entrepreneurs. We have like businesses and things like that. But we work for people and we're trying to do good business. John spoke about transparency,
Right.
and
Huge.
laying all the cards out on the table so that everybody is aware and can agree on pricing.
Right.
Right?
And,
Yeah.
I
and
feel like
this
that's
is-
morals, though. So
That's
whether
moral.
you have a license or not, you got to know when
Exactly.
you're because just because you don't have a license doesn't mean you don't have share the same morals as what they're trying to teach you in that class, right?
And the thing
'Cause
is
it's-
all about repeat business. You work with this investor today, he's going to remember.
Yep.
He's either going to refer you or talk shit about you.
Period.
Right.
You're not gonna get rich off of one deal.
Exactly. So if he refers you, then boom, you got 10 more potential clients, right? And then it's like a multiplication effect, right? So everything, like, I always think futuristic. Like, I gotta like treat this one client to the best, and then make sure that they're happy. Follow up with them. Get that review on LinkedIn. Get that review on Google. You know, get that review
so they come back.
you know, like on Facebook, on HomeSnap, everywhere, right? All reviews matter too.
Yep.
That's another hashtag.
All reviews matter.
That's another one. So,
Okay.
So what John is talking about, so people say you're only good as your last deal. You're only as good as your repeat customers. When it comes to investors, because like you'll see me do stuff like as an agent, this is stuff you learn about being an agent. I love wholesalers and I love the hustle of wholesalers. Like if agents knew how to hustle like wholesalers, it wouldn't be any wholesalers, right? But what agents learn that wholesalers don't always learn, most agents are exposed to business models that wholesalers are not. So all of my investors, you know, I got certain stuff I do for each investor. So when a millionaire real estate agent book, when I got that, I was sending it to some of my top investors. When I got family wealth, keeping it in the family, I sent that to some of my top investors. These are little trinkets that you learn how to get repeat business without paying for a new business. You learn how to work your sphere of influence. A lot of wholesalers are like, oh, I made 50 off of this one, not knowing if this investor fail, they not coming back, like you said. But if you can set people up to continuously make money, they're going to be like, what else you got?
Right.
Because I got more money. So what else you got?
That's your goal, and that's your big why, right?
Just like you was talking about,
right?
You know, so don't put your investors in a bad deal because they ain't gonna do shit with you again after that.
You ain't gonna make money. They might
just because you made 50 off that deal, you just lost potential 500,000 over the lifespan of that investor doing. You know, potentially doing business with you because they're not going to repeat business with you.
But they may be bankrupt.
You know?
Right. Your whole goal is to make
them got no
money, right? How you going to keep making money if they go out of business? Exactly. Everybody, you the only one making money in the deal. Right? Your investor went out of business for over $10,000?
Yeah.
$20,000? What? Nah. Make sure they make their money. Make sure I make my money. Make sure the seller made their money. Now everybody come back to the table again. We make money together again.
Right.
That's right.
You know?
So and I hate to
no, Reggie, you go.
One of my marketing strategies right now is because we got access to certain data, I'm scrolling all the absentee owners. These are people that are out of state. I look at what they paid for the property. I look at the market values in the area. I know they got in on a bad deal. I'm not even looking or considering what they had, the renovation costs. I just know they brought the properties wrong. I'm targeting them people because I know they need to get out of these deals. So a lot of my business, my low-end business, are coming from people that are investors that are out of state. They tenants ain't paid them because of the pandemic.
I gotta send I have to send an eviction notice as we speak.
They overpaid, and it's like I gotta stop the bleeding.
They said that that millennials, or you know whatever you want to call this generation, right, are the most unhappy buyers because they know they overpaid because they weren't really focused on market value. They were just focused on beating out the competition.
Yep.
You know, so
stupid.
Yep. I'm sorry. It's just now for agents and brokers, we like we just that's what, you know, it's celebration turn up.
Yep.
And they compared it to the last generation, whatever that was, and they said that only 20 or 30%, right, as opposed to 60%. For the millennials.
Yeah.
Because they bought out of impulse. Whenever you make a decision on impulse,
it's going to be bad. Emotions
I don't know. A lot of my millennial buyers, so we talked about this on one of the podcasts. Reggie was talking about, like, you know, the quality of the buyers, if they're, like, coming from a certain area or, like, college or whatever. So, like, several of my buyers have been, like, my high school friends. And they bought out of impulse. probably still did. So highest and best is not a new thing, in case you people are not understanding this. But people that I sold houses to between like 2011 and 14, they are winning right now.
Right.
Yes.
So did they pay like $11,000 or so above axing? Yeah, they probably did.
So 2011 through 14, that's Gucci.
Exactly.
Right.
Because that was after the 20, like.
But we're still talking about
So, we on the
$200,000 houses plus, stable areas, stable environments, stable school systems, and the equity increase is, so I would not say, so maybe if we're talking about these 2021 people that bought from
I'm just talking about like
March
the last 2-3
June.
years, like this whole like uptrend of just gotta have it, low inventory. Oh, house in East Point. Now I was buying house in East Point for 30,000-40,000. Now they go selling for.
But listen, they had an experienced realtor, somebody that understood the market, that was advising them. So if you coming out here and you got a new ass realtor that just got their license in 2019, they don't know.
True.
Even though you just got, I forgot.
No, 16.
But I'm saying,
all realtors aren't ethical.
Yeah, not all.
Okay, we just gotta put that out there.
Some people just trying to get a deal,
right?
They're trying to get their commission to pay rent.
So what I'm saying is, right. They hired the correct agent broker to be able to walk them through their deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be cognizant of that. You got to understand that.
True.
This go back to what I said. Some people want to be sold, right? I'm not a salesperson.
Period.
Like I've talked to people, especially investors, and especially out of town investors. When they call me, you can it feel like a balloon just deflated, because I've talked people out of deals, because some people are like, well, I just want to do this, and like the numbers just don't make sense.
Absolutely.
And this is for regular homeowners. Yep. Like, I know you want to bid, and they like, what should I do? I'm like, do what you can afford. But I'm telling you, if you pay this price, the market has to make some corrections, and it only makes sense if you're going to stay here 7 years or more.
I lost. So I've been licensed since 2007. But I have, just for my deals.
Right.
But when I started trying to be sell real estate,
a realtor.
Realtor trying to create another stream of income.
Right.
I had that issue.
Yeah.
My issue was trying to tell people, dog, this is a bad deal.
Right.
Don't do it. You know what I mean? And I lost so many. I had to realize that's why I stopped. You know what I mean? It was like, this ain't for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to tell you how to make a good investment. You taking it. They was getting mad at me. You know what I mean? Like they was like, I could have got that house for that dollar amount. Yeah, you could have, but you would have been upside down in 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or maybe you really couldn't afford it.
Right.
Whatever the situation, I understood your situation. I was trying to help you be successful. The same way I'm trying to help my investors. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Any investor, I want you to make more money. If I'm selling a homeowner a home, I want you to make money off of that home. I want it to be a good deal so you can go tell your friend, your mom, your cousin.
Majority of retail buyers are they get so mad at you for that.
They do. So I had to understand it. So this was a person that was a close friend of a close friend of mine.
Yeah, and
they fired me. Yeah, I ain't never been fired before in my life, right?
Right.
She fired me over something. It was it was like she wanted the worst deal. The worst deal possible at that time. She wanted it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was a bad deal. She fired me over it, and after that, I was like, shit. I don't think this is for me, right?
Right.
No,
well,
it's
I
true.
let
like
people
this.
buy what they want. I just don't. I just have to tell them. I'll give them my opinion.
Yes.
But I won't tell them what to pay, and I'll let them pay what they want. Because some people don't when we talk about numbers, some people qualify for stuff that they can't afford.
Period.
Right?
Period.
And I just have to say, look, at this price, this is what it is. You can be happy. I'll come to the barbecue, but I also will be there when you need to do a short sale.
They're going to be mad at your ass anyway, though, right? They're going to be mad at you. They're going to say, this is what happens all the time, right? You sell them that house, and they get in there, and then the taxes increase. Certain things they didn't take into consideration, right? And they're like, damn, you sold me a bad, okay. You sold me a bad house,
Right.
bruh. So I can't win.
Yeah, you can.
For certain people, you can't win.
Yeah,
no, you really
that's why
can't.
you
No,
have it.
I agree with Shaka because, like, I literally just had this comment. So, one of my buyers paid cash.
Right.
I think $241. We talked about this before, which was like $35,000 above asking.
Right.
And after we agreed, after we closed, she tried to send me a message like, "Oh, I didn't find out that until after we signed." And I'm like, no, young lady. We went over pricing. I ran comps just, because like you said, I have a ethical responsibility. So I'm like, okay, we're going to pay this much for the house. I at least need to know what other places are doing.
Right.
So, I sent her comps like, you know what, we're not too far off, even at this higher dollar amount. And that this is what they're asking. You're agreeing to go up to this dollar amount. But then now, after you have won the bid, you paid all that money above, gave free occupancy for 2 months.
Right.
You mad.
Yeah.
Like,
and you paid
but you
above
won.
appraised value.
And you won.
Right.
So your goal when we were starting this was to win. But after you set in on the house, now you mad because now your tax bill is due, and you like, oh, and then like tried to pull on me. Well, I didn't know that I would have to pay the taxes. You own a house currently, ma'am. Don't play with me.
That's we're gonna talk about that next episode.
Yes,
we
gotta wrap it up.
It's gonna be
been a great conversation.
Kind of like lit.
We gotta talk about.
I'm sorry, ma'am or sir.
We gotta talk about losing winners. That's what
losing winners.
Yeah, because I got a few of them. But that's good.
And hating lovers.
This has been a really fun night. I hope that everybody viewing has had a fun night as well. I am Jonnita Stanton. You can Google me, find me on Instagram, Facebook at Jonnita Stanton. You can find Reggie. Just Google him. He says.
Yeah, Google Reginald Perryman or reggiesrealestate.com. Y'all got to listen to us on Spotify and like and subscribe to this YouTube.
Please like. Where's the button? Down here somewhere?
Somewhere. And it don't cost you nothing.
Nothing.
It's somewhere. Clear to close. Don't forget the E on Clear. It's getting trademarked. I will sue if you...
Trademarking.
That's a whole other issue.
And let me
Clear to close.
Yeah, because Attorney Jeter does trademarks.
Yes.
Let me ask you this: Do you mentor or coach anybody trying to get into wholesaling?
Okay, so yes and no.
Okay.
If you on my team,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
Hey, look here. We're not doing this for free.
Team, right.
Sorry, we too busy. You're too paid.
So everything has to be like a value add play.
Right.
Mentoring can definitely wear you out, and I have other deals to focus on and other things to focus on. So if you want to join a team, off market or on market,
hit up Clear to Close.
All right.
Clear to Close.
Okay,
right.
Shaka, where do we find you at?
ShakaSales.com, SHAKA sales.com, or MassariContractors.com. MASSARI contractors.com.
Big money. Okay, so it's been wonderful. Thanks to everyone. John, it's been a pleasure.
Love
you didn't
y'all.
tell us about. We were supposed to hear about Missouri though. Where do we find Missouri clothing?
Yeah, so Missouri. Just look up Brittany Washington on Facebook. That's the only place I know where they get her at. And she will get. I'm telling you, like it's so stretchy. Like
Right.
I ain't got no muscles, y'all, but it made me look like I got some.
Okay.
Hey, I don't do gym selfies, so I might get
I'm
one to go to
serious,
the gym and be like.
All right, it's a wrap. Thank you.
All right.